Hey, easy. What's wrong? Whoa, watch it!
Get back, kid!
The last normal moment in the Thompson family's life was around 6:12 p.m., right when the sun slipped behind the hills of Redwood Valley. You know that soft, orange kind of light, the one that makes everything look peaceful, like nothing bad could possibly happen? Yeah, that exact kind of light. That's the moment. Lily Thompson vanished. And the thing is, nobody heard a scream. Nobody saw a shadow. Nobody even noticed the wind change. Because it didn't. The wind didn't move at all. It just stopped. Like the whole damn world held its breath. Lily had been playing behind the house, kicking little pine cones with her pink sneakers, humming some silly tune from a cartoon she liked. Something about space unicorns, or sparkles, or whatever. Michelle remembered hearing it, that tiny voice drifting through the back door. But then it just cut off like someone hit mute on the universe. At first, Michelle didn't panic. Kids wander. Kids get distracted by bugs or rocks, or whatever weird thing kids find magical. She called out, "Lily, dinner in 5." No answer. She tried again, louder. Still nothing. Then something inside her, some instinct older than language, just snapped awake. She stepped out into the yard, eyes scanning the tree line of Blackwood Forest. The place looked wrong somehow. Too still. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that sits heavy on your skin. The birds weren't chirping. The squirrels weren't rustling. Even the wind refused to move. Michelle felt it right away. That crawling cold on the back of her neck. "Lily?" she yelled again, her voice cracking. "Honey, answer me." Nothing. By the time Ryan got home from work, Michelle was already barefoot in the grass, shaking, yelling their daughter's name like each call was ripping her throat open. Her hair stuck to her face, mascara smeared everywhere. She didn't even look like herself anymore. She looked like a scared animal. "What happened?" Ryan asked, dropping his keys so fast they bounced across the deck. I can't find her," Michelle choked out. "I was inside for 2 minutes, Ryan. 2 minutes!" That was it. The moment everything broke. Ryan sprinted toward the forest with a flashlight he'd grabbed off the counter. He didn't even turn it on at first. He was too busy screaming, raw, desperate, echoing across the valley like someone was being murdered. "Lily! Lily, answer me!" His voice bounced back at him, way too fast. Like the trees were closer than they should have been. Like the forest was leaning in. He finally flicked the flashlight on. The beam cut through the trees, jittery because his hands were shaking. He aimed it at the ground, searching for footprints, drag marks, anything. Nothing. Not even a broken pine needle out of place. "This doesn't make sense," he muttered. "She was right here. Michelle, she was right." The flashlight crackled, then dimmed, then died. "No, no, no." He smacked it against his palm, and something in him just snapped. He slammed the flashlight into a tree so hard it shattered. Plastic flying everywhere. Michelle flinched. Not because she feared him. Ryan would never hurt her. But because she knew exactly what that meant. He was losing it. When he turned back to her, he wasn't the calm, steady father he'd been that morning. His face was pale, eyes bloodshot, breathing harsh. He ran both hands through his hair and let out a sound. Not a cry, not a scream, something in between. Something broken. The minutes after that were chaos. Calls to 911. Neighbors showing up. Flashlights zigzagging through the trees. People shouting directions, tripping over roots, calling out Lily's name so many times it didn't even sound like a name anymore. Check the creek. She might have followed the trail, spread out. But the forest didn't care. Blackwood Forest swallowed every sound, every scream, every hope. It wasn't normal. Anyone who stepped into that darkness felt it, felt the way the air tightened around you, like it was listening. By 9 p.m., Michelle couldn't walk anymore. Her legs simply gave out. She fell to her knees at the edge of the trees, clutching a tiny pink scrunchie she found near the fence. Was it Lily's? Maybe. Maybe not. She held it like it was a piece of Lily's heartbeat. Ryan knelt beside her, wrapping his arms around her, and for a moment, they just cried into each other. Messy, shaking, ugly crying. The kind that tastes like salt, and panic, and grief. She's not gone, Michelle whispered. She can't be. I just had her. I just touched her hair. Ryan, We'll find her, he said, even though he didn't sound like he believed himself. We'll go as far as we have to. But behind them, the forest loomed tall and black and silent, like a giant standing in the dark, watching, waiting. And somewhere deep inside that silence, in a place neither of them could reach, Lily Thompson was already gone. Not dead. Not yet. But gone. And the real nightmare, yeah, it hadn't even started. By the fourth night, honestly, nobody in Redwood Valley was pretending anymore. Not the cops, not the volunteers, not even the neighbors who kept showing up with casseroles nobody touched. The whole town felt drained, like everyone was walking around with this invisible weight on their backs. And around 10 p.m., the sheriff finally said the thing everyone had been avoiding. He stood in the Thompsons' living room, hat in his hands, face pale in a way that didn't look right on a grown man. He cleared his throat 3 times, like he couldn't get the words out. Ryan, Michelle, look, I don't want to. He stopped, looked at the floor, looked at the ceiling, then finally looked straight at them. At this point, her chance of survival is under 10%. Michelle didn't scream. You'd expect screaming, right? But no, she just froze, like her soul got yanked out of her body. Then her knees buckled. She went down so fast the sheriff tried to grab her, but she slipped right through his hands and hit the floor. Her palms slapped the tile once. Then she folded in on herself like a dying flame. No sound came out at first. Just that horrible gasping, like she couldn't get air into her lungs. Then it hit. The sob. It wasn't a cry. It was deep, raw, strangled. A sound that didn't even seem human. She crawled toward the front steps, like her body was moving without her brain, and collapsed on the wooden porch. And she cried so hard. She couldn't even breathe. She kept choking, clutching her stomach, like the grief was tearing her open from the inside. Michelle, Michelle, honey, breathe. Please breathe, Ryan begged, trying to lift her, but she shook him off like she couldn't even feel her own skin. Pitch pursed. No. No, no, no. Don't tell me that. Don't say 10%. Don't you dare. Don't. Her voice broke every 2 words. It was brutal, like watching someone drown on dry land. Ryan tried to stand, but his legs were shaking. He took 1 step into the yard, then another. Then he just lost it. Completely. He dropped right there in the grass, hands sinking into the dirt, like he was trying to hold on to the earth itself. Why? Why would you say that? He pounded the ground so hard his knuckles split open. She's 7. She's 7 years old. The sheriff didn't answer. What could he say? Nothing was going to fix that. The volunteers outside froze. The neighbors froze. Even the damn crickets froze. Redwood Valley had never heard a scream like that before. It was the kind of scream that cracks something in your chest just by listening. It echoed across the valley, across Blackwood Forest, and the forest swallowed it whole. Michelle crawled to Ryan, still gasping, still shaking, and wrapped her arms around him from behind. Her forehead pressed into his back, tears soaking through his shirt. Ryan, she whispered, voice trembling. I can't bury our child. Don't, he said through clenched teeth. Don't say that. Don't ever say that again. They stayed like that for a minute, or 10, or an hour. Time was strange that night. It didn't move the way it normally did. It stretched, twisted, slowed, until every second felt like eternity. Inside the house, the lights flickered, just a tiny flicker, enough to make the sheriff glance around like something wasn't right. He wasn't the only one who noticed. One of the volunteers whispered, "It's the forest. It's messing with us again." Nobody laughed. Nobody told him to stop being dramatic. Because honestly, everyone had been thinking the same damn thing. By midnight, the house didn't feel like a house anymore. It felt like a tomb. The air was cold, not regular cold, old cold. The kind of cold that sinks into your bones no matter how many blankets you wrap around yourself. Lily's drawings were still stuck to the fridge, her backpack still by the couch, her sparkly sneakers tipped over in the hallway. But the laughter that used to fill the house? Gone. Completely gone. The place felt wrong, like it had rejected something warm and alive. and now didn't know what to do with itself. Ryan couldn't sit, couldn't lie down. He kept pacing in circles, running his hands through his hair, whispering things under his breath like he was bargaining with something nobody could see. So, take me instead. Please. I'll do anything. Just bring her back. Michelle sat on the couch, rocking back and forth, hugging Lily's stuffed rabbit so tightly its seams looked ready to split. She pressed her face into the fur and sobbed. Baby, I'm so sorry. Mommy's so sorry. Then she looked up, eyes red and wild, and said, She's cold, Ryan. I know she's cold. I can feel it. And Ryan, this grown man who never cried, just broke. No warning, no control. He slid off the chair and onto the floor, covering his face, shaking like someone had pulled the strength out of his bones. That night, hope didn't fade. It didn't slip away quietly. It was ripped out of the house by its roots. And somewhere deep in Blackwood Forest, something was listening. And you know what's weird? When hope gets crushed that violently, like in part 2, you don't expect anything good to ever show up again. Your brain kind of shuts down. Like, okay, that's it, we're done. But then morning came, and morning had different plans. It was barely sunrise, not the pretty kind. More like this gray, heavy light leaking into the sky like someone forgot to finish painting it. And the air, God, the air felt thick. Like if you breathed in too much, you'd choke on it. Michelle hadn't slept. Obviously. She was sitting on the couch, still holding Lily's stuffed rabbit, staring at the floor with that empty look people get when they've cried themselves dry. Ryan was in the kitchen, rummaging for coffee like caffeine could fix a missing child. And then, tap, tap, tap. At first, Michelle didn't react. She honestly thought she imagined it. When you're that exhausted, your brain plays tricks. But then it came again. Tap, tap. She lifted her head, slow, like it weighed 50 pounds, and looked toward the front window. A shadow, tall, still, too still. Her breath caught. Ryan, there's... He didn't even let her finish. He walked toward the window, ready to yell at whoever thought it was a good idea to knock on their glass at 6 a.m. But when he turned the corner and saw it, he froze too. A German shepherd, pitch black, standing dead center on the porch, staring at them through the window like it had been waiting all night. Not moving, not twitching, not panting, just staring. The house felt like it inhaled. Michelle whispered, Is that a police dog? Ryan squinted. I don't know. It doesn't have a vest. The dog lifted one paw, slow, perfectly slow, and tapped the glass again. Tap. Michelle grabbed Ryan's arm hard. Did you see that? Did you, Ryan, it's trying to say something. And okay, I know that sounds crazy, Dogs don't just show up acting like they've got something to tell you. But this one didn't feel normal. There was something in its eyes, something sharp, intelligent, like it knew things, like it understood the weight sitting inside that house. Ryan stepped closer to the window. The dog didn't move back, didn't blink. It's looking at me. His voice sounded shaky. You mean at us, Michelle said, standing beside him. And yeah, she felt it first. That tiny spark inside her chest. Not hope exactly, but the ember right before hope comes back. The first breath after drowning, like her heart whispered, "Get up." The dog turned, just turned. No sound, no hesitation, and stared at the tree line behind their house. The same tree line Lily disappeared into. Then it looked back at them. Then the trees. Then them again. Ryan's voice cracked. No way, no, Michelle. It wants us to follow. Michelle pressed a hand to her mouth. Ryan, it came for us. The dog stepped toward the yard, stopped, looked over its shoulder. And if a dog could talk without talking, this one did. Its whole body said, pitch. Threest. Move. The rabbit slipped from Michelle's hands, hit the floor. She didn't even notice. Oh my God. Ryan, we can't ignore this. We can't. But what if it's just some stray? Ryan asked, though even he didn't sound convinced. Strays don't show up at dawn. Strays don't knock on windows. Strays don't act like guides. Michelle opened the door a crack. Cold morning air rushed in, smelling like damp pine and something metallic. The dog didn't flinch, just watched her, ears high, tail still. You want us to follow you, don't you? The dog turned its head toward the forest again and walked. Slow. Sure. Not looking back for the first few steps, like it trusted they would come. Ryan grabbed his jacket. Michelle, wait. Just wait a second. No, she said, wiping her cheeks. I'm done waiting. That dog knows something. I can feel it. And Lily needs us. The dog actually stopped and looked back at her. Ryan hesitated, only for a second, before grabbing the remaining flashlight and following her outside. All right. Okay. Lead the way. The dog blinked once and turned toward Blackwood Forest. And right then, at that exact moment, the sun crept over the hills just enough to catch the dog's eyes. They glowed, actually glowed, like tiny embers staring back at them. Michelle whispered, "This is it. Something's finally happening." And yeah, something was. Because the dog didn't just walk into the forest. It waited. For them. For the first time in 4 days, the nightmare cracked open. Just a bit. And a sliver of something like hope leaked through. If you were in Michelle's shoes, what would you do? A. Follow the dog. B, call the cops again. C, freeze and freak out. I'm honestly curious. Comment your answer. If the moment at the window was the spark of hope, then what came next? Yeah. That was the part where Michelle and Ryan actually acted on it. Like stepping off a cliff, trusting something, someone. They didn't even understand. They didn't have time to overthink it. 1 second, the dog was staring at them like, "Come on already!" And the next, it slipped into the tree line with this calm confidence, like it had walked that path 1,000 times. Michelle followed first, not carefully, not slowly. She moved in this unsteady, half-running stumble across the yard. She didn't even bother with real shoes, just shoved her feet into whatever was by the door. Ryan tried calling after her, but the only thing she gave back was a breathless, broken, "I'm not losing her again, Ryan. I'm not." The forest swallowed her before he could say anything else. And look, Blackwood Forest in the daytime is creepy enough. But at that gray, early hour, with the sky looking unfinished and the trees standing like tall silhouettes, it wasn't just creepy, it felt wrong. Too quiet. Too aware. Like the whole forest was listening to their footsteps. Ryan caught up to Michelle just as she stepped over a fallen log, muttering under her breath, "Please, God. Please, God. Just let her be okay." Over and over, like a prayer she was forcing out of a breaking voice. The dog didn't look back much, maybe once every 20 seconds. A quick glance, ears flicking, then right back to moving, like it knew exactly where it was going and exactly what they needed to see. The deeper they went, the more the air changed. Not colder, just denser, heavier, like breathing thick fog when no fog was there. Pine needles softened the ground so their footsteps barely made sound. Even the usual noises, the birds, the rustling, were gone. "You feel that?" Ryan asked, voice low. Michelle didn't look at him. "Yeah, it's like the trees are watching." Dramatic? Sure. But Ryan didn't argue. He felt it too. They'd been walking maybe 10 minutes when the dog finally slowed. Its ears twitched, its body lowered slightly, as if it caught a scent only it could understand. Michelle's heart hammered, hard enough she felt dizzy. "Is this it?" Ryan whispered, though he had no idea what "it" even meant. The dog stepped toward a cluster of ferns pressed against a slanted rock. It pawed once, gentle, deliberate, then stepped aside, like giving them permission. Michelle dropped to her knees so fast, Ryan had to grab her arm to keep her from falling. "What is it? What are you, Michelle, wait!" But she was already tearing through the ferns with trembling hands. She didn't know what she was looking for. A shoe? A scrap of clothing? A miracle? And then, oh my God. Her voice broke in half, nestled in the pine needles, half buried like the forest was trying to keep it safe, was a purple hair clip. Not just any clip. Lily's clip. The one she wore almost every day. The one she refused to take off because Purple makes me brave, Mommy. Michelle grabbed it like she was pulling Lily herself out of the ground. Her hands shook violently. She nearly dropped it. Oh my God! Ryan! Ryan! She couldn't breathe. Couldn't finish a sentence. Ryan stared at the clip, face draining of color. He crouched, touching it with the tips of his fingers like it was something holy. That's hers, Michelle. That's hers. And then Michelle broke. But not the quiet, numb breaking from before. This was loud, raw, a sound ripped straight from her chest and hurled into the trees. She screamed. Not a word, not a name. Just pure emotion. It echoed through Blackwood Forest, like the forest picked it up and threw it back, like the trees were mourning with her, or warning them. Hard to say. Ryan pulled her close, her whole body shaking like her heart was trying to climb out of her. It means she was here, he whispered. Michelle, it means she was alive when she came through here. Michelle pressed the clip to her lips, crying so hard she could barely speak. She's close, Ryan. I feel it. I swear to God. I feel it. The black shepherd stood a few feet away, watching, not impatient, not excited, just steady, focused. Then it turned its head, deeper into the forest, another path, another direction. And when it walked forward, it paused after 3 steps, waiting, like the real search was only just beginning. Michelle wiped her face, clutching that purple clip like a lifeline, and she whispered, voice full of fire and breaking hope, "We're coming, Lily. Baby, we're coming." If finding Lily's purple hair clip felt like a punch of hope to the chest, then what came next? Yeah. That was the moment hope started shaking hands with fear. Because the deeper Michelle and Ryan followed that black shepherd, the more everything around them felt wrong in a way you can't explain with normal words. The forest changed, not in a magical, pretty way, more like someone turned the volume of the world all the way down. No wind, no birds, no insects, not even branches creaking. A silence so thick, it felt like walking through someone else's dream. Michelle hugged herself as they moved through the trees. This place, Ryan, why is it so quiet? He didn't answer. He couldn't. He was staring around with this stiff, alert posture, like he expected something to jump out at any second. The dog kept moving ahead, slower now, more cautious. Its ears flicked constantly, like it heard things the humans couldn't. Every few steps, it stopped, turned, looked at them. Not the keep-up look, a warning. Do we keep going? Michelle whispered. The dog answered by turning its head toward the darkness and walking deeper. So yeah, they kept going. The light changed too, darker, but not because the sun was setting. It was still morning. Should have been bright. But inside Blackwood, the branches twisted together so tightly The sky looked like a thin strip of gray trapped above them. Shadows stretched across the ground like long fingers. Michelle swallowed hard. "This doesn't feel natural." Ryan nodded. "Nothing about this forest has felt natural since the second she disappeared." Then, fog. Thin at first, just wisps wrapping around their legs, then thicker, rising, curling between the trees like it had a mind of its own. Michelle grabbed Ryan's sleeve. "Ryan, look." Through the fog, something appeared. A shape, a structure, a cabin, old, rotting, half swallowed by vines and moss. The roof sagged like it was tired of standing. The windows, shattered, staring out like dark, empty eyes. "Jesus," Ryan breathed. "This place looks like it's been abandoned 100 years." "But it wasn't on the map," Michelle whispered. "They checked everything. The search team." "I know," Ryan said softly. "I know." The fog thickened around their ankles as they stepped closer. The dog froze first, perfectly still, tail stiff, ears pointed forward. Its entire body went rigid. Michelle whispered, "Ryan, look at its fur." The shepherd's fur stood straight up along its spine, every hair raised like static electricity, like it was staring at something they couldn't see. "What is it?" Michelle breathed. The dog didn't growl, didn't bark, but the air shifted, heavy, cold, like the forest had just inhaled deeply. Ryan stepped toward the cabin. "Michelle, stay behind me." She didn't argue, just grabbed the back of his shirt and held on. They reached the porch, or what was left of it. The wood sagged under Ryan's weight. The door hung, crooked on one hinge, tapping lightly in a wind that didn't exist. And then Michelle gasped, hard, like she choked on it. "Ryan, Ryan, look!" On the cabin floor, in the dust. The outline was clear. Not boots, not animals. Tiny footsteps. Small. Bare. A child's. Lily's. Michelle collapsed to her knees, hands slapping the porch so hard, dust puffed up. "Oh my God. Oh my God. She was here. She was right here. Ryan." Ryan lowered himself beside her, staring at the prints. His voice trembled. "This is real. Michelle. She walked here." Michelle pressed her forehead against the dusty floor, tears falling and soaking the wood around their daughter's footprints. "We're close. Ryan, we're so damn close." The dog stepped forward and planted itself directly in front of the doorway, completely blocking it. Its stance, rigid, protective, like whatever was inside was not for them, or whatever was behind them was getting closer. "What's wrong, boy?" Ryan whispered. "Is something—" The dog growled. A low, guttural, vibrating growl that rattled the porch boards. Michelle froze, Ryan, what is it hearing? And then, the forest behind them made a sound. Just one. A soft crunch. Like a footstep on dry leaves. Not theirs. Not the dog's. Something else. Michelle grabbed Ryan's arm. Hard. Don't turn around. Not yet. The forest exhaled. Fog curled tighter around them. The dog stepped forward, blocking them even more. Something was out there. Something the shepherd did not want them seeing. And in that freezing silence, Michelle whispered, Ryan, what if we're not the only ones hunting in these woods? If the footsteps on the dusty cabin floor made Michelle feel like hope was breathing again, then what she found next, yeah, that was the moment hope froze. Like it got slapped by something older and darker than fear. Ryan pushed the warped cabin door open just far enough to peek inside. The black shepherd still blocked most of the entrance, but it didn't growl anymore. It stood halfway in, halfway out, like it couldn't decide which direction the danger was coming from. Michelle, stay behind me, okay? But she didn't. She slipped past him, almost tripping over the threshold because her legs were shaking like hell. The moment she stepped inside, the temperature dropped. Not regular cold, basement cold, grave cold, that kind of chill that curls your spine without asking permission. The cabin smelled old. Dust, mold, something like old newspaper, and something else she couldn't name. The floor creaked under every step, like the place was offended they were walking on it. God, it's like time stopped in here. And then it happened. She looked up. On the far wall, above a crooked wooden shelf, hung a framed photograph, black and white, faded around the edges. But the face was crystal clear. Michelle froze. Her breath stuttered in her chest. Ryan, come here. Now. He stepped beside her, squinting. What is it? She lifted a shaking hand and pointed at the photo. A man stood in front of the same cabin, same door, same sagging porch, same vines crawling up the beams. Even though this picture was clearly decades old. But that wasn't the disturbing part. The disturbing part was the man himself, his face, his eyes, his jawline, the shape of his mouth. Ryan blinked. That looks like my great-grandfather. Michelle's voice cracked. Ryan, that's my great-grandfather. The room actually tilted. She grabbed the doorframe, chest tightening like she'd been punched. This can't, Ryan. What the hell is this? She stumbled back, hitting the opposite wall, hands over her mouth, breath coming in sharp, frantic gasps. Michelle. Hey, breathe. Breathe. Baby, calm down. Ryan reached for her. I can't. Ryan, that's him. Why is his picture here? She was shaking so hard the hair clip slipped from her hand and clattered to the floor. Ryan lifted the photo. The glass cracked, frame almost disintegrating. but the date in the corner was unmistakable. July 17th, 1941. "Michelle," he whispered, "your great-grandfather disappeared, right? He went missing in the woods. Your mom told me about that." She nodded slowly. "He was 28. He went hunting and never came back. They never found his body. They said the forest swallowed him." Michelle swallowed hard. "I always thought that was just a figure of speech." Ryan couldn't answer. There was no sane explanation. Michelle hugged herself, rubbing her arms like she was freezing. "Why is this here? Why this cabin? Why now?" Ryan studied the photo. "It looks like he lived here, or someone wanted people to think he did." Time 900 mums. Michelle let out a small, broken laugh. "Oh God, that's so much worse." Her fear didn't feel like fear anymore. It felt bigger, heavier, like the forest had just placed a hand on her shoulder. The dog whined softly. Not a growl, not a warning. More like, "You finally understand." Michelle wiped her face, though tears kept coming. Why would he be here? Why would Lily be here? Why is this forest connected to my family? Ryan wrapped his arms around her. She leaned into him, barely holding herself together. "This forest," she whispered, voice breaking. "It's not random. It knows us. Ryan, it knows us." "Michelle, don't do that. You're scaring yourself." "No." She pulled away. "I'm not scaring myself. I'm telling you, something brought Lily here because of me, because of my family, because of him." She pointed at the picture, hand trembling so violently it tapped the glass. "Michelle, Ryan, my great-grandfather disappeared the exact same way Lily did." The cabin groaned. Actually groaned, deep and slow, vibrating the floor beneath their feet. Michelle jerked her head up. "Did you hear that?" Ryan grabbed her hand. "We need to get out. Now." The dog barked once, loud, sharp, then bolted out the door. Michelle didn't hesitate. She grabbed the photo, hands shaking, and stumbled after it. Because whatever secrets Blackwood Forest had been keeping since 1941, it wasn't done with her family, not even close. If the photograph in that cabin cracked their reality, then what happened next completely flipped it. Like the forest didn't just want to scare them, it wanted to show them something. And whatever that something was, it stepped out of the shadows like it had been waiting for its cue. Michelle and Ryan barely made it 10 feet from the cabin when the dog stopped dead in its tracks. Its ears snapped forward, body rigid, tail stiff, a silent alarm. "What now, oh God? What now?" Michelle whispered. Ryan raised a hand, quieting her, his eyes scanning the trees. "There's someone out here. Stay close." The air went still again. That same eerie Blackwood stillness that felt like holding your breath underwater. And then a shape appeared. Not fast, not charging, just there. A man stepped out from between the trees, like the forest itself peeled open and let him out. Tall, broad shoulders, clothes dark and weather-worn, beard rough, eyes unsettling, not dangerous, not kind, just aware. Michelle stumbled back, hand flying to her chest. Ryan, who is that? Ryan instantly moved in front of her, one arm out like a shield. Hey, stay where you are. Don't come any closer. The man didn't listen, but he didn't advance either. He stood 20 feet away, one hand lifted, not threatening, just showing he wasn't armed. His voice cut through the silence, low, gravelly, like he hadn't used it in days. Michelle Thompson. Michelle froze. Ryan's entire body tensed. How do you know her name? Ryan demanded. The man blinked, slow. Because I knew you'd be here. Michelle's knees nearly gave out. What? What are you talking about? He stepped 1 foot closer, not enough to threaten. My name is Caleb Whitmore. Ryan scoffed, panic cutting into anger. I don't care who you are. What the hell do you want? Caleb didn't flinch, didn't blink. He said just one thing, one sentence, sharp, precise, like a blade pressed against the truth. Lily is alive. Michelle collapsed. Not fully. Ryan caught her, but her legs simply folded. Her hands shook. Her breath shattered, like her soul tried to leap out of her chest. What did you say? She choked. Caleb's eyes softened. Barely. She's alive. Michelle sobbed, violently, uncontrollably. Where is she? Is she hurt? Is she... Oh God, please, please. Ryan held her tight, his own voice breaking. You swear to God she's alive? You swear? Caleb nodded. Once. No hesitation. Yes. Michelle covered her face, shaking so hard it looked painful. Oh my God! She's alive! She's... Ryan pressed his forehead against hers, tears slipping down without him noticing. I knew it. God, Michelle, I told you. The dog walked to Caleb, sat beside him, like they were familiar, like they'd been working together. Ryan's eyes widened. You know this dog? Caleb looked down at it. He led you because I told him to. Michelle wiped her face, voice still trembling. You told him? What does that mean? How do you... Caleb stepped closer, just a few feet away. Not a wild hermit, not a creep, just someone shaped by this forest. He spoke quietly. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here because your daughter needs you. Michelle grabbed his sleeve, hands trembling. Take me to her. Right now, please. Caleb hesitated, only for a moment. Ryan stepped forward. If you know where she is, Tell us. Tell us now. Caleb finally nodded. I will. I promise. But first, you need to understand something about this place. About Blackwood. I don't care about the forest, Ryan snapped. Just take us to Lily. Caleb's jaw tightened. You think I don't want to? You think I'd let a child stay out here alone? He shook his head. She's not alone. Michelle's eyes widened. What does that mean? Caleb breathed in slowly. She was found, and she's being watched over. Michelle nearly collapsed again. By who? Caleb looked at the dog, then at the forest, then back at Michelle. By those who guard this place. A cold shiver ran through her, deeper than fear, something she didn't have a name for. Ryan grabbed Caleb's shirt. Enough riddles. Is she safe or not? Caleb didn't flinch. She's safe with my people. She's warm. She's fed. She's scared. But alive. That's why I came. Michelle burst into fresh tears. Relief. Painful and shaking. Caleb stepped back slightly. If you want to see her again, follow me. He turned toward the trees, and as he walked, he added, without turning around, and stay close. The forest doesn't like strangers. If you were standing there, hearing a stranger say your missing child was alive, what would you do? A. Follow him immediately. B. Demand proof first. C. Turn and run the other way. I'm genuinely curious. Comment your answer. If following Caleb into the forest felt like stepping into a different world, then what happened next? Yeah. It was the moment that world cracked open and gave something back they thought they'd lost forever. Caleb walked fast, quiet, steady, like he'd memorized every inch of Blackwood Forest since he was born. The dog stayed by his side, glancing back every few seconds to make sure Michelle and Ryan were still following. And even though the trees towered above them like giants, even though the path twisted and narrowed and darkened, Michelle didn't slow down for a single second. She couldn't. Her heart was pulling her forward like a rope. Is she okay? Michelle called out, breath shaking. Is she hurt? Caleb didn't turn. She's shaken, but she's alive. The word alive made Michelle stumble. A soft sob slipped out before she could stop it. Ryan squeezed her hand. We're almost there. I can feel it. Michelle nodded, wiping her face with her sleeve. Me too. God. Me too. The forest thinned suddenly. Not all at once, more like the shadows drifted away on their own. A small clearing appeared between two massive cedar trunks. Soft, smoky air drifted upward from a fire pit in the center. It smelled like cedar bark, hot stones, and something warm. Tea or broth. Michelle slowed. Her breath caught in her throat. A tent sat at the far edge. Canvas, hand-stitched. Its sides glowing faintly orange from the heat inside. Caleb stopped. He nodded toward it. She's in there, resting. Michelle didn't wait, didn't breathe, didn't think, didn't question. She ran. "Michelle!" Ryan called, but she didn't hear him. Or she did and didn't care. Her hands shook violently as she reached the tent flap. She hesitated. 1 second, 1 heartbeat, then pulled it open. Warmth hit her instantly. A soft wave from glowing stones arranged in a circle beneath a clay bowl of water. The air was humid, comforting, like stepping into a cocoon. And there, God, there she was, Lily, curled under a wool blanket, tiny shoulders rising and falling with slow, exhausted breaths. Her hair tangled, sticking to her forehead, her cheeks streaked with dried tears. She looked fragile, small, too small, but alive. Alive. Michelle's breath shattered. Oh, oh God, Lily. Her knees collapsed, hitting the ground beside the blanket. Lily stirred. Her eyes fluttered open, blurry at first, then wide. Mom? The sound tore something open inside Michelle. She grabbed Lily and pulled her into her arms. So fast the blanket flew off. Oh my God, baby. Baby, I'm here. I'm here. I'm right here, Michelle cried, rocking her, pressing her face into Lily's hair. I thought I lost you. I thought. Lily clung to her. Mommy, I was scared. Michelle broke completely. Sobs shook her body, her hands trembling as she kissed Lily's head again and again. I know, sweetheart. I know. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Ryan appeared in the doorway. The sight of Lily punched the breath straight out of him. He froze. 1 second, 2, 3. Then he collapsed. The sound he made wasn't a sob. It was a strangled exhale, like days of fear finally escaped his body. He crawled forward, grabbed both of them, and pulled them into his chest. Baby. Oh God. Lily. His voice cracked so hard he couldn't finish. Lily reached up and touched his cheek. Daddy, you're crying. He laughed through tears, broken, overwhelmed. Yeah, kiddo. Yeah, I am. I missed you so much. Michelle wrapped her arms around both of them, their bodies shaking together. Fear, relief, disbelief all tangled into one. They stayed like that for a long, long time. Minutes, maybe more. The kind of silence where hearts talk louder than words. I thought you wouldn't find me, Lily whispered. Michelle kissed her forehead. Honey, nothing could have stopped us from finding you. Ryan pressed his forehead to hers. You're our whole world, Lily. There's nothing we wouldn't walk through to bring you back. Lily sniffled. It was dark and cold. Michelle stroked her hair. Not anymore, baby. You're safe now. You're safe. Outside, the fire crackled softly. The forest felt respectful, like it had stepped back to give them space. Even the dog sat quietly, guarding them from the shadows. 3 people. 1 heartbeat. A family stitched back together. After 4 days of hell, the universe finally gave something good. And it was everything. If the reunion inside that warm tent felt like the world stitching itself back together, then what came next? Yeah. It was the moment something cold slipped right between the seams again. Because relief doesn't last long in Blackwood. Not when the forest still has secrets it hasn't told you. Michelle didn't let Lily out of her arms for a solid 10 minutes. Maybe more. She kept touching her hair, her face, her tiny hands, checking every few seconds to make sure she was real. Ryan sat close, one arm wrapped around both of them, eyes still red. Caleb waited outside the tent, giving them space, or maybe preparing for something. It was hard to tell. The man barely blinked, barely spoke. The dog sat at his heel, staring into the trees like it expected something to walk out at any second. Eventually, Michelle brushed Lily's cheek and whispered, "Sweetheart, can you tell us what happened? How did you get here? Did you fall? Did someone bring you?" Lily blinked slowly, like the memories were heavy. I walked," she whispered. "I was looking for Muffin. My stuffed rabbit fell down the hill. I went to get it." Michelle's eyes filled again. "Baby, you should have called for me." "I did," Lily whispered. "But then I slipped." Ryan closed his eyes, jaw tight. "You fell?" Lily nodded. "Down a slope. Really far. I hurt my leg. I couldn't climb back up." Michelle kissed her forehead. Lily continued, voice trembling. And it got dark. I tried to call out, but the forest got really quiet." Michelle and Ryan exchanged a look. They knew exactly what she meant. Then Lily said something that changed everything. "But I wasn't alone." Michelle froze. "What do you mean?" Lily pulled the blanket closer. "There was a dog." Outside the tent, the black shepherd perked up, ears forward. Michelle frowned. "This one?" Lily shook her head. "No, not that one." She pointed toward the trees. "The other one." A cold shiver crawled up Michelle's spine. "There's another?" Lily nodded. "He was bigger, way bigger, and darker, like the night." Ryan leaned in. "Was he mean? Did he scare you?" "No, he didn't bark or growl or anything. He just stayed with me." Michelle's voice shook. "Stayed with you? For how long?" Lily thought. "All the days. He didn't leave. He watched me sleep. And when I cried, he sat right next to me." Michelle covered her mouth. Ryan took Lily's hand. Sweetheart, are you sure it was a dog? Maybe a coyote or... Lily shook her head quickly. It wasn't a coyote, Daddy. Coyotes make noise. This one didn't make any sound, not even walking. He was quiet. Too quiet. Lily looked at her hands. He had really bright eyes, like little moons. Michelle felt her stomach drop. Oh, God. That's when Caleb stepped into the tent entrance. Not fast, but his face looked like someone had slapped the soul out of him. Ryan stood immediately. Caleb? What's wrong? Caleb didn't answer. Not right away. He stared at Lily like he was trying to read something written on her skin. Finally, he said quietly, "That wasn't one of ours." Ryan frowned. Meaning what? Caleb inhaled, slow, steady, like bracing for impact. Meaning it wasn't from our line. Our dogs don't look like that, and they don't stay with someone for days unless commanded. Michelle's voice trembled. So, what was it? Caleb's jaw tightened. I don't know, but it wasn't ours, and it wasn't wild. Lily whispered softly. He helped me. He kept me warm at night. Caleb's expression darkened. His eyes flicked to the shepherd, whose fur suddenly rose along its spine. Michelle whispered, Caleb, what does that mean? He shook his head slowly. Blackwood has guardians. Our dogs are one kind, but there are others, older, rare. They don't come down from the higher parts of the forest. And they sure as hell don't interact with people. Ryan stepped closer, voice shaking. Are you telling me some creature has been watching my daughter? Caleb held his stare. I'm telling you something ancient has. Something that doesn't show up without a reason. The tent went silent. Even the fire outside seemed to dim. Lily tugged Michelle's sleeve. He wasn't bad, Mommy. He kept looking at the trees, like he was waiting for something to come out. Michelle froze. Waiting? For what? Lily shook her head. I don't know, but he didn't leave until that other dog came. Caleb stiffened. What other dog? Lily pointed toward the entrance. Him. Caleb turned. The shepherd let out a low, uneasy rumble. Michelle's skin prickled. Caleb, what does that mean? What's going on here? Caleb didn't answer. He didn't need to. The fear in his eyes said enough. If hearing about the other dog cracked open a door of fear, then what happened next? Honestly, it felt like stepping straight through it. Because leaving that camp didn't feel like just walking out of a clearing. It felt like Blackwood Forest itself was shifting to watch them go. Caleb stepped outside first. Stiff, alert, scanning the trees like a storm was about to break. The shepherd stayed glued to his side, tail low, ears flicking at every tiny sound, if there even were sounds left in that forest. Michelle carried Lily the way someone carries the most fragile glass in the world, arms tight, hands trembling, chin tucked over her daughter's head. Ryan stayed close, one arm wrapped around both of them, like he could shield them from everything the forest still held. Caleb spoke quietly. "Stay behind me, and whatever you do, don't wander." Ryan forced a nervous scoff. "Yeah, trust me. We're sticking to you like glue." But the second they stepped past the ring of cedar trees marking the edge of the camp, something changed. The path appeared, not a dirt trail, not a walking track. The trees themselves leaned apart just slightly, forming a narrow corridor wide enough for them to pass. Michelle froze. Did that just open?" Ryan swallowed hard. "I think it did." Caleb didn't answer. He walked forward like this was normal, but the tension in his shoulders said otherwise. The group followed, or maybe were guided is a better word. Because as soon as they stepped into that corridor, the trees behind them eased back together, sealing off the clearing like it had never existed. Michelle gasped, clutching Lily tighter. "Oh my God! Ryan, look!" Ryan turned, and his jaw dropped. The path, it's gone. Gone wasn't even the right word. Erased, swallowed, forgotten by the forest the moment they passed. Caleb didn't stop. "Don't look back. Blackwood doesn't like people looking behind them." Ryan muttered, half panicked. "Okay. Nope. That's comforting." Michelle whispered into Lily's hair. "It's okay, honey. Mommy's right here." Lily stirred slightly. "Mom?" "Yeah, sweetheart." Lily lifted a weak arm, pointing upward. "The trees. They're moving." Michelle looked up and froze. Because Lily was right. The canopy wasn't swaying from wind. There was no wind. The branches were shifting, slowly, subtly, drifting aside to let the moonlight fall directly on the group. A pale blue beam opened above them, following them like a spotlight. Michelle whispered, voice breaking, "Ryan, the moon is guiding us?" Ryan's face went pale. "I don't know what the hell that is, but we're not stopping to ask." Lily murmured softly, almost dreamlike, "The forest knows we're going home." Michelle stumbled. "What did you say?" Lily rested her cheek on Michelle's shoulder. "The forest knows. It knows we're leaving. It wants us to go the right way." Caleb spun around sharply. "Did she say that before? At camp?" Michelle shook her head. "No. She barely talked about anything except being scared and cold." Caleb stared at Lily, thinking, then murmured, "It chooses children sometimes." Ryan snapped, "Okay, Caleb, Enough cryptic crap. What does that mean? But Caleb didn't answer, because the forest moved again. Branches lifted above their heads, slow, creaking, ancient, forming a massive archway. The moonlight widened, following the movement like it was programmed to guide them. Michelle grabbed Ryan's arm. Ryan, it's like the forest is alive. He didn't argue. He couldn't. Because you can't argue with something you're seeing with your own eyes. The dog whined softly, pressing closer to Caleb's leg. Not scared, not aggressive, just aware. Caleb spoke quietly, reverently. Blackwood isn't just a forest, not the way you think. It's old. Older than Redwood Valley. Older than my family line. Older than any map. It knows who enters. It knows who leaves. And sometimes, it decides the path. Ryan shook his head. Decides? A forest decides? Caleb stopped walking, turned, looked straight at him. Do you think your daughter survived 4 nights out here by chance? Michelle stiffened. What are you saying? That the forest protected her? Caleb didn't answer. He simply turned and continued walking, following the impossible moonlit corridor. The further they walked, the more the forest reacted. Vines curled out of their way. Roots shifted beneath their feet, flattening the ground. Branches lifted to let the light spill across their path. Impossible. Unbelievable. Happening. Even Ryan, the most rational man alive, finally whispered, "Okay, I can't explain this. I don't even want to try." Michelle held Lily tighter. "Just get us out of here. Please." They walked a few more minutes before Lily whispered, trembled, but certain, "It's helping us." Caleb turned his head, watching the trees shift in that silent, impossible choreography. It doesn't do this for adults. Only for the marked. Ryan tensed. The what? Caleb stopped. The forest stopped with him. He turned slowly, eyes serious. The marked. Those chosen by the forest. Michelle's heart dropped. Caleb, are you saying Lily is one of them? After watching the forest move like it had a pulse, you'd think nothing else could surprise them. But Blackwood wasn't done. Not even close. Because the moment they stepped out of the moonlit corridor and back into familiar, open space, something was waiting. Something that shouldn't have existed. Something that made the hairs on the back of Ryan's neck stand straight up. The trees thinned. Heavy branches overhead pulled apart just enough for the moon to spill onto a small clearing. Not bright, soft, silver, like a dimmed spotlight. And standing in the middle of it, facing them, was the first German shepherd. The same one that knocked on their window, the one that led them through hell and back. Its fur glowed under the moonlight, giving it this unreal outline. Not ghostly, but close. Michelle gasped, clutching Lily tighter. It's him, the one who led us. Ryan whispered, voice cracking. Good boy. God, you did so good. The dog didn't move, didn't run to them. It stood tall, proud, eyes steady, like a soldier awaiting its final order. Then, Caleb stopped walking, and that alone made Michelle's stomach flip. She followed his gaze. Something else stepped out from behind the shepherd. Another dog, but not like the first. This one was younger, leaner, its paws lighter, movements quieter. Its fur was darker than the night behind it, almost bluish-black, like a shadow peeled off the forest floor and took shape. And its eyes, God, its eyes were deep, not glowing, not bright, just deep, like staring into a pond at midnight. Michelle whispered, trembling, Ryan, is that? Lily answered softly, That's the one. Michelle looked down sharply. What do you mean? Lily pointed at the younger dog. That's the one who stayed with me. The quiet one. Michelle's chest tightened. Oh my God. The younger dog stepped forward. Not close, just enough to make its presence clear. Calm. Respectful. Like an old soul inside a young body. Lily reached out with a small hand. Hi. And for the first time since they found her, she smiled. Soft. Weak. But real. The younger dog lowered its head. Slowly. Deliberately. A bow. Not an animal greeting. A farewell. Michelle's breath hitched. It's saying goodbye. Ryan swallowed. It watched over her. Probably saved her life. Caleb nodded once. More than once, I'd bet. The young dog lifted its head and looked at Lily. Really looked, with an expression almost human. Like it understood what she'd been through. Like it understood she was leaving. Like it was okay with that, but not happy about it. Lily rested her cheek on her mother's shoulder. He didn't want me to be scared. He slept next to me so I wouldn't hear the dark. Michelle almost broke all over again. Thank you, she whispered toward the dog. Thank you for keeping my baby alive. The dog blinked. Once. Slowly. The older shepherd stepped closer, brushing against the younger one. A gentle nudge. The younger dipped its head again, locking eyes with Lily for one long, impossibly emotional moment. Then the wind shifted. Not a breeze, not randomness. It felt like the forest exhaled. Branches rustled, leaves lifted. Moonlight dimmed for just a heartbeat, like clouds passed overhead, even though the sky was clear. Caleb whispered, solemn, "It's time." Michelle frowned. Time for what? Caleb nodded toward the dogs. For them to return. The younger dog stepped backward into the shadows. The older shepherd followed, perfectly in sync. Their silhouettes blended with the darkness, swallowed by the trees like they'd never been there at all. Moonlight slipped off their coats. The forest folded around them. And then they were gone. Michelle whispered, shaking, "Ryan, did they just disappear?" Ryan exhaled. Yeah, I think they did." Lily pressed her hand to her mother's chest, eyes heavy, peaceful. They had to go home. They were just borrowing time. Borrowing time. No 7-year-old should talk like that. Blackwood had marked her with something deeper than fear. Caleb stepped forward, staring at the empty clearing. They don't show themselves often. When they do, it's never by accident. Michelle whispered, pitch first. Will they be okay? Caleb nodded softly. They always were. They always will be. Silence filled the clearing. A soft, sacred kind of silence. Michelle kissed the top of Lily's head. "Thank you," she whispered to the shadows, "for everything." And somewhere deep in the darkness, the forest whispered back. Not in words, but in the way the wind finally moved. Gentle, warm, almost like a blessing. If watching those two dogs melt into the forest felt like witnessing the end of something ancient, then what came next? Yeah. That was the moment everything finally snapped back into the real world. The human world. The world where families break down and rebuild, and somehow keep going. Caleb led the way through the last stretch of Blackwood, the shepherd pressed to his leg like a shadow, refusing to leave him. Michelle held Lily tight, arms trembling, like she still didn't trust the universe not to take her back. Ryan stayed close behind, one hand steady on Michelle's back, the other ready to catch Lily if she slipped. And for the first time since they'd entered the forest, the trees felt gentler, lighter, like whatever presence had been watching them finally loosened its grip. The air warmed, the moon softened, the ground felt less alive under their feet. It was like Blackwood was letting them go. After 10 minutes, Michelle blinked through the trees and whispered, voice trembling, "Ryan, oh my God, is that?" Ryan's voice cracked. "Shell, that's our fence." And there it was, the old wooden fence behind their backyard, the one Lily had disappeared behind days ago. Except now, instead of grief, instead of dread, instead of that cold, crushing emptiness, hope surged through them so hard it made them dizzy. Michelle stepped forward like approaching a mirage. The moment her foot crossed the final line of tree roots and touched the soft, familiar soil of their backyard, her body collapsed. Not from pain, not from fear, from relief. Time 1.6. A tidal wave of overwhelming, impossible, beautiful relief. Her knees hit the ground hard, Lily still in her arms, and she sobbed. Not the broken panic sobbing from earlier days, but something sharper, something that hurt, because it was finally allowed to release. Oh my God, we're home. We're really home. Ryan dropped beside her, pulling both of them close. This time he didn't hide it. His whole body shook with loud, uncontrolled crying, the kind adults aren't supposed to do. I've got you, baby. I've got you. I'm never letting you go again. Lily stirred, wrapping tiny arms around their necks, and for a long moment, maybe a full minute, the three of them stayed there in the backyard dirt, holding on to each other like nothing else in the world existed. When Michelle finally lifted her head, tears still streaking her face, she turned back toward the tree line. Blackwood Forest loomed, dark, huge, silent, but not threatening. Not anymore. It felt almost like it had stepped back. Michelle swallowed. Caleb, how do we thank you? Caleb answered simply, you don't. The forest chose to return what it took. Michelle's breath caught. Why? Why us? Caleb looked toward the trees. Because Blackwood remembers everything. Every person who enters it. Every person it keeps. Every person it returns. You're part of its story now, whether you want to be or not. The shepherd nudged his leg, gently, insistently. Caleb turned to leave. Michelle called,